Chamjo asked, does adding Diggs and Estime, those are the 2020 recruits or 2021 recruits at Notre Dame signed, Logan Diggs and Audric Estime, to Kyron Williams, Chris Tyree, and Sebo Flemister, make this the most loaded Notre Dame backfield of the Brian Kelly era compared to some of the Holtz era backfields? Well, let's just take the Reggie Brooks, Jerome Bettis backfield out of the equation because that's a little unfair. That's a Hall of Famer in that group. I think this group has a chance to at least stack up well. I mean, there's a lot this group still has to prove. Kyron Williams had a really good season last year. He averaged 5.3 yards per carry. That's 0.6 fewer yards than Tony Jones Jr. had in 2019. Significantly lower than Dexter Williams and Josh Adams were both over 6 yards a carry. Tony Jones was 5.9 yards per carry. So we need to even see more from Kyron. I don't really blame him. I think part of that was because teams knew that they were going to run and there was no RPOs. There was very little really effective play action and run downs that really kept teams honest. And so I think that factored into why his yards per carry were lower, but they need to use Chris Tyree better. We don't know how they're going to use the young guys. So there's still some questions about how this group is going to be used. But from a pure talent standpoint, I love this group. I think it's got a chance to be as good, if not better, than any group that Brian Kelly has had. And let's talk about what have been some of those really good running back rooms. 2017, yeah, Josh Adams, Dexter Williams, Tony Jones Jr. Those three are all in the NFL right now on NFL teams. Then you also had Deion McIntosh on that roster. You had C.J. Holmes, who's a 4-star recruit. 2015, you had Torian Folston, start of the year, got hurt. So then what do? You go to CJ's pro size. He rushes for 1,000 yards that year. He gets hurt. You bring in Josh Adams. He sets a Notre Dame freshman rushing record. And you also had Dexter Williams on that team. So that was a pretty loaded group. 2012, you had Theo Riddick. You had Sierra Wood. You had George Atkinson. 2010 actually was a pretty good backfield. You had Armando Allen, Robert Hughes, Sierra Wood, and Jonas Gray. But of course, not all those guys got utilized, and it was Brian Kelly's first year, so they didn't necessarily play great. But it was a pretty good backfield. I think this backfield has a chance in 2020 to be Notre Dame's best, and I think it brings some of the dual threat ability that the 2012 backfield brought to the table, with Theo Riddick catching over 30 passes out of the backfield that year, and then you had Sierra was kind of a home run hitter. I think Chris Tyree can serve that role, but even more explosive. And then you've got the freshman hammers. So if used correctly, I think this backfield's got a chance to be excellent. I need to see that it's going to be used correctly. But I'm excited about what this backfield could be. And the other thing is, maybe you lose Kyron after 2021 if he has a big year, which certainly is possible. But he's about the only guy that's going to. He's the only guy that. Sebo. If he leaves, he leaves. But this is going to next couple of years could be really fun at running back for Notre Dame at that position.